Spade back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today we're going to start a new project, and we're going to make a makeshift holster on a belt that's made to hold some window washing supplies. So we're going to make a quick little holster belt that holds your window cleaning spray and your washer squeegee, so that you can have your hands free when you need it if you're up on a ladder. So come on in and let's get started. On this project, just like on my last video that I did, I already did the patterns on some poster board, and I'm going to use the actual belt loop pattern. I'm going to use it twice, and then I've got them all marked. Like, this is the spray can holster. That's the one that will actually go around and hold the aerosol can of the window cleaner. Here's the window washer holster. That's going to go around and hook to one of the belt loop portions, and that'll hold the squeegee washer tool. This is the reason I'm coming up with this, is just for utility purposes. I'm putting it on a cloth belt. I'm not making the belt portion out of leather, because I have a whole bunch of these. I bought a whole big box of them at a garage sale, so I kind of use those to make like little utility belts, and then make my holster portions out of the leather. I've got some inexpensive leather that I picked up, that I've made some other projects out of. So I've got quite a bit of it, so it's not going to really cost me that much. And I find that it's really handy, because what happens is, I get washing windows outside and you're up on a ladder, and you could do this for any tools. It doesn't have to be just for washing windows. It could be anything, just to make it more convenient for you, and safer for that matter. Instead of trying to jumble around and hold your window spray can, or your tools, or whatever it is, your paper towel, whatever it is you're trying to rustle around on top of a ladder and hang on to, this gives you a place to set those so your hands are free. That makes it much, much safer, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and take these pieces that I've made for my patterns, and let's start putting it on some leather. Now, I've got this leather that's right at, I'd say, 7-8 ounce, and to be honest with you, anything that's got some scuffing or anything like that on, maybe it's got some something stuck to it a little bit, some glue on it or something like that, I can get that off with my fingernail, but it kind of leaves a little scar area on there, because this is already pre-dyed. I don't really care about this as far as what it looks like, because like I said, it's more utility than anything. So nobody else may ever even see it other than you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and use the scrap to get these smaller pieces out of. I may have to use a larger piece for the spray can holster part. So let's go ahead and start with the belt loop part, and I'll use a pin to go around, and I do need two of these. I'm using the same pattern for both tools, and I did mark my holes for my punch, for my rivets. I'm not stitching any of this, just going to rivet it together, make it quick. So I'm going to need 2 of these pieces. And I made my slots for the belt so that it'd be somewhat snug. And the reason I did that was I don't want either one of those things, either my spray can or my squeegee tool, to slide around on the belt. So I want it to stay nice and taut on there. So there's that piece. Let's go ahead to the window washer tool holster. Looks like I can get that out of here. Wonder if I can get this strap. If I turn it at an angle, I can get this strap, the bottom strap that holds the can in the holster. I can get it out of here. So let's do it next. And again, I'm just taking an ink pen and tracing that pattern. About the only thing I'll do extra to this that I wouldn't have to do is I probably will go ahead and do the beveling real quick just to get that ink mark off of there. Then I'll take the window washer tool holster part and mark my rivet holes in that. Just need one of those, one of the bottom straps, and then this is just a little too long for that, even if I turn it at an angle. So let's go ahead and cut these apart. Get this piece out of the way. We don't need it anymore. Let's cut these pieces apart. And before I start cutting them out, I'm going to flip my knife blade over so I have a nice sharp edge to start with. And this leather is fairly stiff to be a little lighter weight. I've made some smaller caliber holsters where the gun doesn't weigh very much out of this. In fact, the cross draw for the Ruger Wrangler that I did, if you look back on that video, made that out of this material. Let's set those aside, grab another piece, and we can cut the can holster out of. Again, don't really care. It's got some spots on it and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and use it because it's not a showpiece or anything by any stretch of the imagination. Again, it's for utility purposes. So I'll mark my holes for my rivets. Let's go ahead and set all that over to the side. Let's cut this piece out. and get rid of the excess leather out of our way. I try not to have that to fight with while I'm trying to cut this stuff out. You can tell I've had this rolled up the opposite way, so you can kind of work that. You can see it's fairly stiff, so it should work great for this. Let's flip this blade around real quick. Get us a nice new cutting edge. And I'll go ahead and cut these out, and I'll be back. So I've got all those pieces cut out. I've got my slits in the belt holder part. Let me move this scrap off of here, and I'm going to put it in my little tray so I can set it aside and get rid of it later, but at least it gets it out of my way at this point. And this is another nice little handy use for one of those little leather trays. Makes it real quick to get things off your workspace. So let's go ahead and take my poly cutting board. I'm going to do my punching on. Get my 1/8 inch punch and proceed to punch all the holes out for my rivets. So let me finish punching all these holes out. I'll be right back. Alright, another good thing for the little leather tray, just to get all those knockouts off your work surface, out of your way. They come falling out of there, so I can put those in that tray. Now these pieces are ready for a quick little beveling, and I'm just going to bevel them on the outside or the finished side. And more than anything, it's not for looks. Like I said, this is more utility than anything. It's not a presentation piece, but this is to get rid of that inked line, and it does kind of give it a little bit of two-tone effect, as once you bevel that bevel edge is a little bit lighter. Alright, those are all beveled. And let's go ahead and take all this scrap, throw it in my tray, get it off my work surface here. And now we have all of our pieces cut out, trimmed, beveled, ready to go. So what I need now is my hardware, which will be my rivets and my rivet setter. And let's look and see how long a rivet we're going to need. Not sure. Take a look at this piece one more time. This is the top, so the holes are facing the top, and I forgot to mark my holes at the very bottom for some reason, and that's for my strap. So let me get those real quick before I move on and get in a predicament where I can't get my holes punched in there. get going sometimes so fast I overlook some things. So there's the two. That's for that strap to hold on to. So go back to figuring out the length of the rivet we're going to use. This is a 5/16, and it looks like, let me take a 3/8 and take a look at it. The 5/16 looks okay, but it doesn't stick up real far. Yeah, I think I'll go with the 3/8. Let's see what it does. And I think I'll actually hit onto the poly board. And this is going to be a little tricky when we get to the inside here. Get my rivet setter and get a cap. And let's see how this 3/8 works out for us. And it looks okay. So let's go ahead and continue with a 3/8. Put another cap on. Yeah, that's a nice tight fit. So we could go ahead, while we have this flat, we could go ahead and put this piece on. It goes on the outside, and the reason I'm putting it on the outside is because I don't want the can, when you slide it into the holster, I don't want the can catching on it. So I'm going to put it on the outside. Again, it's utility. It's not for a showpiece or anything. So let's see if we can get a couple of caps. And get that on before we fold it over and figure out how we're going to do this other piece. And I can tell you right now, this rivet's got to come off because it will have to go through this side. So as I come around, I'm going to need to put that one in there on the inside, which that's going to make it a little difficult to get to. I'm sure we can do it. But this one comes up and goes through there, and this is what catches the can on the bottom. This strap here, so that the can can't fall out. So let's go ahead and let's see which one would be best to put in first. Probably this one. And again, we'll go with a 3/8 rivet. And let's flip this polyboard over, see if we can catch a corner of it, like so. Get us a cap. Get my setting tool. Let's go ahead and set that, and then we should be able to swivel that into position here. Now here's where it becomes a little more difficult, because that's going to have to match up when we bend that. My rivet just popped out. So I have to put another rivet in there. I don't think I got it set hard enough. Find another cap. And let's see if we can, instead of stretching that out, let's see if we can set that on something hard. I'll be right back. Alright, I got a couple of pieces of wood here that I can stack up. Push that in there and fold that over so we can make sure we get a good, nice hit on it. We don't want that popping out like that last one. I just didn't drive it down tight enough. That's nice and tight now. So now we have to get this around. You can see this is a little more difficult. We're going to use this wood again. And let's go ahead and put in the top one. We'll have to put it in from the inside out. Put a cap on it. And I'm sure if you were going to make several of these, like you were going to use make leather drink holders, holsters, or something like that, you could make a little jig for them, which would work out great. But if you're only making a one-off like this, I'm just going to makeshift some little boards or whatever I have in order to make that work, so I don't have to make a jig for it. Now I'm going to come in from the inside on the bottom one. That's the last one, but it's got to go through 3 thicknesses. So let's get that in through there, pull it up through the 3rd thickness, and I'm going to hold that from the bottom while I slide in my wood and push that down, and then put my cap on. And what that does is that keeps that nice and flat against that piece of wood, so I can actually use my mallet and set that so it doesn't come apart. So you can see, you could mold this a little bit on the bottom so it's not so rounded, and then there's your holster for your can of window washing spray. Here's where your belt goes through back here. So it's not super tight, but it's not going to fall out either. So there's the spray can holster part of it, and then here's the window washer part of it. So let's go ahead and do the same thing, except on this one it doesn't have any bottom, so we can go ahead and use the 5/16 rivets. I'm getting low on them. I'm going to have to go purchase some more of those. There's one set. And if I can get another cap, there we go. Now on this one's real simple. It just has two on each side. Let me double check and make sure I've got this correct. So let's put the cap on. Take the setter. Put the second one in. Put the cap on. Setter. And there's that piece. Now we can go ahead and go around to make the window squeegee washer holster bend. So let's go ahead and put that in from the back. You know what? I'm going to put that in from the front, or the inside. Be much easier to deal with. We'll put a cap on it. Then I'm going to have to find something, because this wood's too big to fit in there. So let's try the handle of my mallet, and let's see if that won't work. I'll use another mallet here to set my rivet. That seemed to work just fine. So let's take the next one and get a cap for it. Do the same thing. Put my mallet in there, the handle. Flatten that out. And again, you can stretch that, work that piece of leather to kind of mold it into shape, even without getting it wet. And let's see how that fits. Let's take our squeegee washer tool, and that fits right in there. So that's the two pieces that we have. One for holding the squeegee washer tool, one for holding the actual spray, the window washer spray. So let me throw this together and then I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Alright, so we've got a finished utility holster. This side holds the can. It's got a strap across the bottom so the can can't fall out. And I just put it on this little quick utility belt, and that's designated for this. Here's for the actual squeegee and the washer. so I could use it. Then when I'm done with it, slide it on there, use my can of spray, put it back away, and I got my hands free. So I don't have to worry about trying to hold my tools or my liquid, my spray up on the ladder. I can have my hands free to do what I need to do. So quick little utility belt out of some scrap, inexpensive scrap leather. So just something for convenience, something quick, easy. Again, you can do this for anything. You can do it for any kind of tools, hammers, screwdrivers, pliers, anything. So even a drill. So anything that you need, you could make something like this. So I appreciate you coming along. Please, like I always say, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.